Welcome to Meeples on Meeples, episode 100. I'm Adam.
And I'm Brian.
As usual, before we get into our game of the week, I want to invite you over to our YouTube channel where you can subscribe, watch all of our videos, as well as our Facebook page and our Twitter page where you can subscribe, follow along, see what we've been playing, and see what new reviews we're putting out.
This week's game of the week is Dinosaur Island. Now, before we get started, I'm going to point out that I kickstarted the deluxe version, so the metal coins do not come with it technically. There are a few other extra pieces, and then the multiple different dinosaurs. I believe they're all just Triceratops or something in the base game, the regular game. But otherwise, what you see is what you would get in the game.
And if you're watching it right now, there's another Kickstarter going on.
So you can still get the deluxe version, and it's only sold through Kickstarter. So I would highly recommend it because it is gorgeous.
Yeah, that'll probably go into our likes and dislikes, which we can probably get into now, is this game overall, component-wise, I think is just amazing.
It is. The dice, little touches. They were going for the amber dice. They're kind of that see-through amber, like in Jurassic Park, where they withdraw the dinosaur DNA, and that's how you get your DNA.
Like you mentioned, the coins. I mean, these are more heavy duty than like our American currency.
And the kicker is saying that their overkill isn't an exaggeration, because for this new Kickstarter that they're doing that we just mentioned, they actually said they're making the coins thinner. I imagine to save them on shipping costs, but also because it's a bugger to get in the box.
Yeah, they're heavy, and but I love this original version just because they're you got the weight to them and everything. They're very nice.
Another is the theme. You'd think there'd be more dinosaur games. Like Jurassic Park came out in I think '93, and in the 25 years since, you'd think somebody would have put out a game based on that theme or that idea, and nobody did until now. So it's unique.
Yeah, it's unique, and along with the Jurassic Park, discussion is, this is as close to a Jurassic Park game as I think you're gonna get, and it does it extremely well. You'll see from some of the art style, some of the characters that you can hire for your park, some of the names of the attractions,
the workers, the idea you have scientists who work in the lab. It's just every step is thematic all through.
And even in the rule book, they have if you remember from Jurassic Park, the little talking DNA animated thing. That's actually in the rule book. So
explaining the game.
They've done. They've gotten us as close to a Jurassic Park game without getting sued, I suppose.
Another I'm going to jump on, and our rules overview, by the way, normally would be in here, but we're doing that as a separate video because this game is so big. But in that, I pointed out that it is a large game, and there's a lot going on, tons of pieces, but you play through phase 1 first, and there are quite a few options, but it's not overwhelming. And when everybody's completed phase 1, then you move on and you do the phase 2 section. Then after that, everybody can do their phase 3 at the same time, the rulebook even suggests. And then you've got your phase 4, and you're scoring, and then you kind of reset a couple things, and you play through it again. And it's such a big, complicated-looking game, but it actually plays through very smoothly, and it's easy to teach.
I was going to say something along those same lines. When I first saw it, you look at everything that's out here, and you think, holy cow. But they have it broken down into stages that are very manageable, and once you get through that first round especially, it becomes, I don't want to say rote or, because it's not boring, but
it's not repetitive, but it is. Okay, let's complete step 1. All right, everybody, let's move on to phase 2.
Another and this goes back to components again, because the components in this are amazing, is that player board that everybody gets.
First off, I just love player boards in general, when you have your own board, but, continue.
This one actually it's a double layered board, so recessed spaces, so your little chits and everything, as you're getting more DNA or getting a higher security level, things like that, when you put your chit, it sticks in place because it's got that recessed space all the way up. So it's well laid out,
easy to read. You can't accidentally knock things everywhere and oh crap, I have to reset. I forgot where everything was.
And it is thick cardboard, but I think it's thick enough cardboard that's probably not going to warp all that easy because it's that, again, kind of a double layer.
It's laying out. We played it multiple times and it's laying out quite flat. So.
Is there I feel like we're praising this a lot.
No, I do have one, and maybe this is just me, but my dislike is I don't like the ridiculous psychedelic colors they went with. I know they said that this is everything 90s. They're going for 90s because that's when Jurassic Park came out, and by the way, the first player marker is a slap bracelet and all these crazy things. I think these colors are almost more Miami Vice and more 80s, and I think it's a little bit garish looking. It's really ugh. And I'm not a huge fan of the color choices for the boards the bright pink dinos. They're cutesy, I guess.
I can get that. I mean, it doesn't bother me so much because I think to a certain degree it does kind of cover that first Jurassic Park time period and the look they went with there. But I get what you're saying. It isn't maybe the most appealing looking game. Although having a slap bracelet is pretty awesome for your player marker.
But for me, that's about it for my. Oh, I have another actually. If we can go back, you can choose to set out the objectives for a long game, medium game, or short game, or you could put maybe 2 short and 2 medium objectives out in a 3-player game to kind of have, because the short game is really short.
Yeah.
I can't remember what we played in, about an hour-ish with 3 people. The long game is about 2 hours we played it with. And then you can do anything in between probably. To be honest, I think this is one of the few games I like more with the long game. It gives me more time to build up my parks, get more dinosaurs, see it grow, and really have something to show for it. But I like the fact that you can kind of set the length of the game.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I really don't have all that much for dislikes though myself. I mean, it's a fun game, great components. Yeah. All right, let's talk strategy. And I mean, because they have it broken down into sections, I think it probably makes sense to take it phase by phase, maybe.
Okay.
For strategy wise.
Being as player 1 goes, then player 2, then player 3, it's probably smart for the DNA dice to go for what you want, or especially the more rare advanced DNA, and get those before somebody else snatches them. And of course, the number on the scientist is multiplied by. So if you can get like a 2 DNA and put your 3 scientists on there, you get 6 of that DNA, that kind of thing. So using the number wisely with the dice is definitely important.
And I'd second that advanced DNA thing, because that comes into play, especially when you get into the small carnivores and big carnivores, making the dinosaurs. You're going to need a lot of that. It's not as easy to get. Another thing with the dice, what I would point out is you got those pips on there for the security level at the end of the round.
The threat level, yeah.
The threat level. Later in the game, I don't think it's such a big deal, but early in the game, it's probably good to, even if you don't maybe necessarily need it, get those higher pip number dice off the board so that at the end of the round, you're not, killing people.
And having your patrons get et by the dinosaurs. I was going to say another thing is don't underestimate the importance of increasing your cold storage, how much DNA you can hold. Because if you put your 3 by 2 DNA dice, you get 6 DNA, and you can only hold 3 of each basic at the beginning, and I believe 1? Oh, those are in the wrong spot. 1 of the advanced DNA at the beginning of the game. So right away, you need to be bumping those up so you can hold DNA, because they fill up way faster than you expect.
That's always been my strategy for, I think, every game we've played, is I've focused on building up my cold storage so that in the next rounds I can start loading up on the DNA. Late in the game, another thing I would point out is I think it comes in handy to, if you don't need some of the dice, you don't need any more dinosaurs, you don't need more cold storage, saving those extra scientists for
turn it into a worker
for
the next for phase 3.
Phase 3. I mean, that's going to be probably where you're going to better spend your scientists when you get into those last rounds. How about phase 2?
Phase 2, I learned after my first game that having the amusement park rides, or the more popular attractions, they hold more patrons, and you don't want your patrons stuck waiting outside the park entrance, not getting in, because then you don't get the victory point. You don't get the points for them and everything. So making sure that you buy some of the things that can hold multiple people, because the gift shop is great because it's worth 3 victory points at the end of the game, but it holds 1 patron per round, and it takes up some precious real estate on your board.
As far as, besides the amusement park rides, I'd say one of the bigger things to get, again, early on is the dinosaur research marker.
And the refined DNA,
And the refined DNA. Those upgrades, I mean, you have those abilities on your board to begin with, but they cost you more workers, and you can only do them 2 times.
And you can't do them as often,
or 1 time. These expand the number of times you can do them, and they let you do it for cheaper.
Yeah. Sometimes it's nice to wait, because everything that doesn't get bought slides up for the next round, so things will get cheaper, but at the same time it's kind of a guessing game. Does somebody else want that bad enough? Are they going to snatch it out from under me if I wait and don't get it this round? So you have to be kind of careful on that.
It's a little bit of a gamble. And then these center ones here, the ones I found I think the most helpful are, you'll get ones that help with your security level, make it cheaper for you to increase your security level, or to add security for just that turn. as the threat level increases, and it's going to increase as the game goes on and on and on. The security level is something you always want to stay on top of, so I think those have been good upgrades, at least in my games as we played.
As far as the workers go, some are really beneficial. You can only have 3, so kind of keep that in mind. If you hire on more, you have to lose one that you had before, and if you lose that worker, you lose the benefit. If they have the worker on there, that's how you get extra workers to place in phase 3. So that's how, because you have a total, you can get up to 8, but you only start with 4. So these cards are really beneficial.
Yep. And I mean, there's so many different workers or characters that you can buy. Just as an example, one of the characters I really liked is when somebody takes a DNA die in phase 1. There's a certain character that allows you to copy that one for free. So those are, I mean, there's some really beneficial ones out there.
There are definitely some more powerful than others.
Exactly.
There's some that you really, especially later in the game when you've upgraded your lab enough that you don't even need them. Some of these specialists are kind of worthless.
All right, phase 3 then. This is where you're placing your workers. You're spending your DNA to build your dinosaurs. Again, one thing you just want to pay attention to, especially early on in the game, is that threat level and security level. So at least in those early rounds, I've spent a lot of my workers or a lot of my, money on getting that security level up as high as I can early on, so you don't have to worry about it as much later in the game.
It's important to increase your paddock size so you can hold more dinosaurs per cage, so that you can then build more dinosaurs. So yeah, you have to keep on top of that.
That phase though, you're really taking everything else you've done early in the game and
just
now
taking
applying
it. Yeah, just now you can take advantage of it. You do have to be careful on the order you do things, and like make sure you upgrade your paddock, and then you can build a dino. And so I really say when it comes to phase 3, my big suggestion would just be make sure you look at what you want to do and do things in the correct order, because you can squeeze a little bit more out of your workers if you do it that way.
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, there's been certain situations where I've done something and thought, okay, I should have done this first.
Yeah, because then this would have been cheaper, or I could have done this, because if I'd upgraded this, I could have done it for 1 worker instead of 2, whatever. Yeah,
little things like that.
But I think that kind of covers strategy overall. It's kind of the more you play, the better you'll get.
In phase 4 is not a lot of strategy. It's just when you're letting your patrons into the park, and you place them, as many of them out into the park as you can, and you score from there.
Yeah. And that brings us to our review section, where we give a score from 1, a terrible game. 5 is it's average, don't like it, don't hate it. 10, amazing, you should definitely buy it.
I'll start it off, and I don't know if I'm going to be high here, but I'm going to give this game a 9. I really like it. I mean, the components are, we beat it to death. They are great. The flow of the game, even though it looks complicated, the way it's broken into the 4 separate phases just works extremely well. It's not one of those games where you're going to be going back to the rule book and trying to figure things out. I think it's all fairly clear, or I don't know if we've ever gone back to the rule book really.
Not after the first game, I don't think. Not really.
So it's all self-explanatory, and there's not a lot of downtime, because that first phase, you pick in order, you go around the table, but you're always watching what that person's doing before you to decide what you're going to do.
Yeah, because the spaces can fill up, and that affects what you do.
Same thing in phase 2. You're trying to figure out, okay, do I buy this first, or is the next person going to buy it out from under me? Phase 3, you're doing it all at the same time, so you don't have that downtime. And phase 4 is the same thing. You're always playing on your board at the same time. So it's I think a very active game, not a lot of downtime. It's very adaptable for playtime. It can go from, like you said, a very short game to they have specific cards for
very relatively short. Because I think the fastest you can play is probably an hour. But.
Yeah, but then you get to the long game, and I think we even played a long game in an hour and a half, hour 45.
Yeah, the first time we did a long game, we hit 2, and then we did the second one, and we knocked like 15-20 minutes off.
Yeah, so you can adjust it for how long you want to play it, or the people that are involved, how long they're going to want to have their attention taken to it. I just really, really like it, and I would highly suggest if you're watching this right now and you're interested in it, get the Kickstarter version of the game, because just the extra stuff you get, the dinosaurs, the actual coins, worth it.
This is one game where the bling really pays off, thematically. So my turn?
Yeah.
I'm pretty close. I'm going to give it an 8. He covered all the things, so why am I deducting 2 points? I kind of like to explain the reasoning on that. One is it's my game, so I'm always in charge of setup. And the first few games you set this up, it can take half an hour. I'm not kidding. If you decide to play a short game for your first game, setup and teardown is almost as long as
I was going to say the
gameplay.
teardown can be a lot.
And
too.
the teardown is a lot, and some people say they can't fit it in the box at all. I've kind of got a system down, but the box lid is still up a little bit higher than it should be. It sits flat and everything. Everything gets back in there. So the setup is very daunting. Getting people to play can be kind of daunting. I know Ian was super overwhelmed when he first saw it.
Oh, yeah.
And we had to kind of coax him into it, and then he got the hang of it because, like we said, it's set up to run like a well-oiled machine. But it can be kind of daunting to beginning players. But other than that, the game itself is really fun. I, again, would recommend doing the long game because I think if you're going to invest that much time putting out a game and you want to really see that cool park build, go play longer. The other reason I would maybe deduct a little bit is the layout of the park doesn't really matter. You can just throw anything anywhere, and it would be kind of cool if they found a way, and I think they might have that in the expansion that's coming out, where placing things next to certain things or the layout of your park can actually score you bonus points for having a well-designed park. So that's kind of anti-thematic. It's just you just throw some tiles down and who cares what it looks like. But I don't want to nitpick like that. I'm giving it an 8. It is a really good game. It is a beautiful game, and it's an awesome theme that I totally dig.
Awesome, unique theme.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, there's not been out there before with the popularity of Jurassic Park, and it does it very, very well. So that's our review of Dinosaur Island. Check back soon to see what we've been playing.